What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our Big 12 football channel. In our 2019 college football schedule previews continue with the Baylor Bears. You can see their schedule on your screen. Had a pretty solid year last year, made it to a bowl game, beat Vanderbilt in that bowl game, and with a lot of teams in the Big 12 that we aren't so sure about, this could be a really good year for Baylor. But what happens if a lot of those teams are a lot better than we think? This could be a really bad year for Baylor. So it's tough to figure out exactly how the season is going to go. We know this team is going to be pretty good. We don't expect them to be great. They bring Charlie Brewer back at quarterback. That's big for them. Lose a couple of receivers, some guys with defense on the offensive line. But overall, they don't lose too much. I would expect this team to be just as good, if not a little bit better than they were last season based off of what they have coming back. You look at the schedule, they open up with Stephen F. Austin, UTSA, Rice on the road, but three very winnable games there for Baylor. Then it's going to be a big test, but a home game against Iowa State, Kansas State on the road, Texas Tech at home, road game against Oklahoma State, West Virginia at TCU, Oklahoma, Texas, and at Kansas. And if you follow this channel, I'm under the impression that Oklahoma, Texas, and Iowa State are going to be the best three teams in the Big 12. TCU and Oklahoma State might be better than Iowa State, but right now, based off of what I know about these teams, I like Iowa State as that third best team. Well, Baylor gets Oklahoma, Texas, and Iowa State all at home. If they could somehow win 2 out of those 3 games, they might find themselves in that conversation for a Big 12 championship game. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I don't think that it will. But I mean, it could happen. And again, they get some of those big games at home: West Virginia, Texas Tech at home. Toughest road games are going to be Oklahoma State and TCU, possibly Kansas State. But I don't expect Kansas State to be great. I think Kansas State and Baylor are going to be pretty even this season, so that's going to be a great game, by the way. But again, you just look at the schedule. Easy non-conference schedule. The conference schedule features several big games at home, so that could wind up helping this Baylor team have a pretty good year in 2019. We're going to say that they beat Stephen F. Austin, UTSA, and Rice. I think they win all 3 of those games. I think those games are fairly easy wins. Don't really see them having much trouble at all in those games. So we're going to green those games. You're already at 3 wins. Now you just need to win 3 conference games to get to a bowl game. You know, that's at least, you at least want to get to a bowl game if you're Baylor. So looking at this schedule, I'm not going to red Oklahoma and Texas. I think Oklahoma and Texas are both much better than Baylor, but because those games are at home, I think that gives Baylor at least a shot. I would say they have a chance to pull off an upset in maybe one of those games. I would favor Oklahoma and Texas in both of those games, but they could be fairly close games, and again, they maybe pull off an upset somewhere in there. You're looking at best case scenario, I think they get a big win against Iowa State at home, Texas Tech at home, maybe beat Kansas State, Kansas at the end of the season, perhaps get one more win in there. And I think 8 wins is probably about the best case scenario for Baylor. Even if they do pull off an upset and beat Oklahoma or Texas, they could still fall to Kansas State, Oklahoma State, TCU, those road games. And even that Kansas game at the end of the year, I realize Kansas is not going to be great. Les Miles, new coach. There's going to be a little bit of buzz around that program, but again, they're not going to be a great team. But by the end of the year, they might be playing at a fairly high level. That game is on the road. It's right after playing Oklahoma and Texas. So that would be an upset alert game right there for Baylor, in my opinion. But again, overall, that should be a win. And I think Texas Tech might be down a little bit this year. West Virginia, they might could get a win there. I think they get to 6 wins. Again, worst case scenario, they find a way to get to 6 wins. I don't see this team falling below that number. And these numbers are based off of the 12 regular season games only. We're not looking ahead at bowl games or anything like that when we talk about projected wins. Just the 12 regular season games. So I think between 6 and 8 wins. Could they fall to 5 and 7? I mean, I guess. Again, I really like their chances to beat Kansas State or Texas Tech. I like their chances to beat Kansas and then maybe pull off a win against West Virginia or an upset against Iowa State at home or Oklahoma State or TCU. I mean, there are just too many games in there that they could win to where I think they do get to that 6-win mark, at least maybe 7, maybe 8 wins. We won't make predictions until sometime this summer. And again, the schedule, the non-conference schedule, very easy for Baylor. Conference schedule, it sets up pretty well. Obviously, everyone plays everyone in the Big 12, but again, with some of those big games at home, that bodes well for them. But the flip side of that is, if you're not going to beat Oklahoma, you're not going to beat Texas, wouldn't you rather just go ahead and play them on the road and then get a swing game at home, maybe get TCU or Oklahoma State at home? So that could actually be a bad thing when you look at some of those big games at home if they're not able to pull off a win in, at least one of those games. So something else to consider there. Thank you for watching this video. If you're a Big 12 football fan, please subscribe to the channel. As always, leave your comments down below. We always like to hear from you. And for the latest in Big 12 football, keep it right here.